In this video, I want to explain as simply as possible, with no fancy terms, no fancy concepts, simply how you keep a project under budget so you can use these skills, understand these core principles to ensure your projects are a success. Okay, the first thing to ensure your project is a financial success is to make sure there's enough money in your budget. Now, let me present you two scenarios. One where a project manager controls costs carefully, they monitor every dollar spent, and they always take the lowest possible cost alternative to ensure their project is a financial success. In the second scenario, we get a project manager who spends recklessly, they don't track costs, and they're not frugal at all with how they spend the project budget. Well, which project was a success? At the end of the day, it depends a lot on the budget. If the first project had an incredibly lean budget, the estimator had underestimated the cost to deliver the project still might have gone over budget. When in the latter case where the project manager spent recklessly, if the budget was overinflated, on paper, the project still might look like a success. So the first thing you need to do to ensure your project is a financial success is to make sure there's enough money in the budget and the costs have been estimated correctly. The project team can only do what the project team can do. They can take the lowest possible cost alternative. They can carefully monitor costs, but if there's not enough money in the budget, on paper, the project is going to look like a failure, regardless of how well they controlled costs. The first thing you need to do to ensure your project is a success is to make sure the costs are estimated correctly and there's enough money in the budget to deliver the project. Once your budget has been set, the next thing you need to do is to create a plan to stay under budget. So you need to develop a baseline that reflects the initial estimate. So we get an estimate of the cost. We need to turn this into a budget to deliver the works. We want to understand how the estimates build up, what are the key drivers of the costs of different components, and reflect this estimate build up in the budget. So the budget is all of the different accounts we'll use to track expenditure. Then, based on how the estimates build up, we want to develop a plan for how future expenditure and performance will be measured against the estimate. So for example, if you have a budget account for installing cable tray on an electrical project, and you know the budget is based on installing 6 meters per man hour, this should be tracked in when you're tracking your costs, because then you know if you're doing over 6 meters per man hour, you'll be coming under budget. So if someone's installing 10 meters per man hour, when if someone's installing 2 meters per man hour, you're going to have an issue. So understanding the build up of the estimate and reflecting this in your budget is going to help you flag issues early so that you can address them and also raise them with management if there are issues with the initial budget. Once you've developed a plan for how to stay under budget, the next thing you need to do is to pay attention to where you are spending money. A lot of projects, people don't track costs, which gives you no control over how and why you're spending money. People might be spending money recklessly, and if you're not carefully tracking the costs, you're going to lose all visibility and any power to do anything about it. So manage and monitor your budget carefully because you understand how the estimates build up. You know what key dollar figures to track so you can see whether you're staying under budget. So you want to be tracking how you're spending money continuously and perform regular variance analysis. So if you're 10% of the way through the work, but you've spent 50% of your budget, you know for that control account, for that portion of your budget, you're going to be having massive issues. In addition to that, you should always be asking yourself when you're looking at expenditure, is there a better way to do this? Okay. So we've made sure the initial estimate had enough money to deliver the project. We then turn this estimate into a budget and we're carefully tracking and monitoring how we're spending money. The next thing we need to do is we need to manage change. Changes to the project scope can be an absolute nightmare for projects because we can end up doing a whole lot of additional work that we didn't budget for. So we need to have a change management process. So if we have an external client, this will be a contract or variation management process where if a client requests us to do additional work or the client delays us in completing work, then we've got a formal process we use to make claims and claim additional money and entitlements. However, if it's an internal project, that's financed internally and we don't have a contract with an external party, our change management process will be communicating the changes to management and keeping our forecasts updated and reflecting the new project scope so we can take management or the client for the project along with the journey and explain to them why costs are increasing. The next thing we can do to manage costs on our project is to manage procurement. Unless it's a small project, then a large portion of the project scope is likely going to be outsourced to different external vendors through the procurement process. So external expenditure is going to be a large portion of the total project cost. So if we manage the procurement process effectively, we get 3 to 5 quotes for every package of works. What we're asking people to quote is an accurate reflection of the work they're going to be doing, so we're not stung with expensive variations during delivery. And we're choosing the best possible suppliers and being strategic with our procurement process, we're going to ensure that this external portion of the expenditure is carefully controlled. And the final thing we need to be doing is managing risk. Projects always involve uncertainty. We should always be asking ourselves what can go wrong, what can impact the success of our project, what are the uncertain events and conditions that matter and can have a significant impact on our project. By proactively asking these questions, addressing risk, we're going to avoid any unplanned or uncontrolled changes that come up during project delivery that can cause us to blow our budget.